What's going on, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, and it's been a while since I've done one of these, so join me for my latest manga haul. Stay tuned. And welcome back, everybody. Now, I upgraded some of my tankobons to bigger editions, and I also got some books for, not just me, but for my wife, the Astonishing Melanie, and my kiddos. And, of course, I've been building this up for the last few months, so that's why the manga haul is so big this time around. People have asked me to separate my graphic novel haul from my manga haul, unless I only bought a few volumes of manga. But here it is. Here's my latest manga haul for the last couple of months. I've been collecting some of these sets to put together for a while now, so let's go ahead and get started. So, of course, for Adjectiveless Alicia and myself, I got us Animal Crossing Volume 1, New Horizons, based on, of course, the video game. I wanted to surprise her. This just came in a couple of hours ago, so we haven't even looked at it together. It looks adorable. It looks like what you get in the video games with just silly little short stories. It is a very small, and by small I mean the page count, type of book. It only retails for $9.99. Not sure how many there are going to be, but there is a volume 1 right there. But this is what the artwork looks like in here. It's what to be expected if you played the Animal Crossing games. And I have. I never played the 64 version. I think the GameCube is my very first one. And I always wanted to go back and see my island, and hopefully everybody's been zombified after 20 years of not playing it. Has it been 20 years? It can't. No way has it been 20 years since the GameCube's been out. Alright, let's keep going. This is one not just for my oldest daughter, but for the whole family. What's Michael? The Fat Cat Collection Volume 2. And one thing you're going to notice right away is the fact that this is printed left to right. Here's an introduction here from 2019. This is a book that was previously canceled, taken out of the catalog, so I'm glad that they decided to finish this particular series. So this and Fat Cat Collection Volume 1 are all you need. It is a wonderful story by Makoto Kobayashi, who also did the Club 9 manga series. And oh my gosh, the way that Kobayashi draws women, not necessarily in this, but in Club 9, yowza. Alright, but this is all different short stories about a cat. Sometimes he can talk, sometimes he's part of a family, he's got a antagonist or a couple, sometimes he's part of a cat mafia. It's adorable. There's a lot of moments in here that made me laugh. Now, this is just taking the original translation and the scans, that's why it's left to right, and putting them into a big, thick book. Those skinny books, I think there were a total of 11, had been out of print for a number of years. And now it's back in this 2-volume set. So if you haven't picked it up and you need something for all ages, you want your kids to read, it's got animals, and man, there's stories in here that are funny. There's some heartfelt stories too that are cute, but most of the time you'll be cracking up at some of the scenarios that are happening within this particular series. Definitely recommend What's Michael. From Udon, I picked up volumes 1 and 2 of Daigo. So somebody told me what this was about because I had no idea. All I saw was my boy Ryu in volume 2 and I was in. But then you also get characters from Darkstalkers. So it's all about the champion of the Street Fighter and Capcom games, Daigo. That's what this is about. I had no idea. So this is an original Daigo Umehara. He supervised the whole story. Kengoro Nishide does the actual artwork in here. And then you have Maki Tomoi, who does the story, the adaptation. It's like Bishamon versus Morrigan. So if you're a fan of the era of fighting games like I was growing up, and it always brings me back to thinking of my friends going to the arcades or coming over on Friday nights. Yeah, we were a bunch of dorks hooking up the Sega Saturn, the TurboGrafx 16, and the Neo Geo just to have some fighting game action. Oh man, I miss those days. Yeah, back then we didn't have emulators. We did, like on the computer, but they weren't that fun. We used to have to buy physical games, and it was such a blast. And then going to different arcades, and of course trying to be the very best. Not like Pokemon, of course that came later, but trying to be the best competitor out there. I remember the first time I saw Darkstalkers in the arcade. I remember the first time I saw Street Fighter 2, it just blew me away. So anytime I see manga like this, it just takes me back to that simpler time. Now I can just hook up my PlayStation 5, or 4 rather, and put in a new fighting game. But it's just not the same. My friends aren't over. You know, I'm in my 40s now, and I miss those. I miss just dusting off the old Sega Saturn and putting in a fighting game. And yeah, things aren't just the same. So it's nice to go back and revisit with something like this. There is a third volume. I haven't picked it up yet. And these are thick books, too. They're not... I mean, they look like the size of 2 tankobons put together. They retail for $19.99 in the original, traditional, right to left, like the rest of these will be, unlike What's Michael. Hell yes, I'm in for the long haul. This is volume 14 of Fullmetal Alchemist. I love this. Love it. Love that paper that they add there. And again, the paper quality in this is a lot different than the tankobon. This is some thick, glossy paper. So that's what you'll be getting in this particular volume of Fullmetal Alchemist, volume 14. Better not skip too much through here in case you haven't read it. I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's going to be a total of 18 of these. Yeah, so we have some sketches here in the back. I wanted to make sure I got to the right page. And then, of course, about the author, who is currently, I think, working on Arislan, if I'm not mistaken. But here's Fullmetal Alchemist, volume 14. My luck, they'll release a box set of Fullmetal Alchemist. So I will be doing a video on my most wanted manga that I want printed in hardcover format, deluxe hardcover format, and probably my most wanted manga box sets. Here is number 5 by Taiyo Matsumoto. Yes, the same creator that did Black and White. So I picked up volume 1. I think there's a second volume that just recently came out or is coming out. No idea what the story is about, but I had to get it. Big fan of his creation. He has a very unique art style. You know, some people dig it, others don't, but I happen to really enjoy it. It grew on me. How about that? Because I used to get Black and White. What was it? Tekonocrete, I think is what it's called. Tekonocrete. That's the Japanese name. But it was Black and White when it was coming out in the anthology magazine, Pulp magazine, which was geared towards older audiences, unlike Shonen Jump here in America. But this is what the artwork looks like. Looks like an apocalyptic Mad Max type of future. I'm in. Soul Eater, Volume 3 and 4 of the Perfect Edition. So these collect, I think, not 2, but much like Fullmetal Alchemist, 1.5 of the tankobon. So I'm not sure how many there are. There's already, I think, 7 solicited. Volume 5 coming out later this year. All the color pages are in here that were in the original release. The paper quality of these books are... Actually, these feel thicker. The pages feel thicker than the Fullmetal Alchemist edition. So that's nice. But it is about the same dimensions, other than the fact that it doesn't have a round spine. It's a flat spine. But they are the exact same dimensions as the Fullmetal Alchemist editions. Let's look at Volume 4. Kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. There we go. Here's the table of contents. And then what the artwork looks like. And you have an anime that's based on this series. I do have some of the tankobon, but I decided some of those are out of print, so it might be easier just to collect it in this particular format. I dig some of the artwork. I remember I had an opening. Did it have an opening by TM Revolution? It was season 1. Man, Melanie and I watched that, I think, when she was pregnant with Lydia, so it was a while ago. Well, obviously over 11 years ago. Now, as far as the binding, it is glued binding. So it does tend to want to shut on you, just for those of you wanting to know about the build of it. The retail of this and every volume of this collection is $19.99. Drifting Classroom, volumes 1, 2, and 3. I had the original release of this by Kazuo Umezu and decided to upgrade to these hardcovers. I had forgotten that the hardcovers came out, so I wanted to go ahead and buy them. Here's what all 3 of the hardcovers look like together. One of the things that freaked me out was this design right here. It's on all of them, the white line going down the middle. That all makes sense because it's part of the story, but I thought it was a crease on the hardcover spine because sometimes that manga tends to do that, especially if it's oversized and in softcover. But these are all hardcover editions, retailing for $34.99. Give you an idea of what the artwork looks like. Probably one of my favorite horror manga in that genre, and I will be doing my top 10 favorite horror manga list sometime later this month, probably the last day of the month, so that's Sunday. Look for that. There's some older manga that I've probably put on my list that, you know, you may or may not have heard of. So I am a guy in my 40s, so there's a whole new horror genre out there that I'm not really familiar with, that I need to get to reading. But yes, This is Drifting Classrooms Volumes 1, 2, and again, these were previously released in softcover tankobon editions, and now they're being released in this nice hardcover format for $34.99 each. And I wonder what choice, or who gets to decide what gets to be in hardcover format. Is it when they wait for the release in Japan to come out in hardcover format, and then they just say, okay, let's go ahead and release these in hardcover format? And then Volume 3. So this is just, seriously, your horror isekai. I love this. I remember this. I thought that was a really cool way of showing darkness in a comic book. So, yes, a bunch of students get stranded out of time in interdimensional space. And now it's kind of like Lord of the Flies meets, not Quantum Leap. I'm trying to think of another isekai, like Magic Knight Ray Earth, I guess. But with a huge horror spin in here. That's what this is. That's all you need to know about this. So it's a bunch of kids and just horrible things happening throughout each of their adventures in each chapter. All 3 volumes are still available, by the way. Trying to catch up with Vinland Saga because we had Volume 12. I think Volume 12, by the time this video releases, will be out. So collecting Volume 10 here. And these are definitely 2-in-1, and I'm so glad that these are back. These are some of my favorite manga to be released. If you saw my video on my top 20 favorite manga of all time, even though this wasn't finished and I hadn't finished reading it, it's still up there. It's one of the best. The artwork is phenomenal, the story's deep, and yeah, it had a little bit of a slow burn. I think that's why I stopped reading it around Volume 5. But I've been catching up, and I don't want to flip too much through here to get spoiled. But what I was going to say is that this series was saved by fans, because in America, Kodansha canceled this line. They canceled it not just once, but twice. But because of fan uproar and buying volumes, they brought it back. And now we're getting a Volume 12. Because I remember them canceling it after Volume 2, I want to say. And these are 2-in-1. So there are 2 tankobon collected in this particular format. Yes, so because of you all, you did your part. You bought these books. And Kodansha heard and decided, all right, well, let's keep publishing some. And then again, with Volume 6, it was canceled. It was taken out of the catalog. And they made a statement that they were going to print it all the way through. Now, I don't know if they're going to keep them in print. I don't know if years from now, when you're watching this video, they're still going to be in print. Hopefully they are, because they're some of the best. They're up there. This stuff right here. It's historical fiction, but it's a lot of fun. It's Vikings. And to me, it's, it's up there with Vagabond and Blade of the Immortal, stories like that. Phenomenal artwork with some great characters in here. And speaking of great characters, I decided to take the plunge and finish out my Mobile Suit Gundam, The Origin. So now I have all 12 volumes of this series. So let's look at Volume 9 here. So I love the way that these look. The covers, they feel so soft, even though they're hardcovers. If that makes any sense. Before I open it up, let's look at all the spines together. It's a thing of beauty. It's interesting because Volume 10 here, X, has a curved spine, where the rest of them have a flat spine. Not sure if they got a different printer to do it, or if this is a latest printing, because these have been out for a while. Just wanted to get them before they go out of print, because if anybody knows anything about manga when it goes out of print, it's a lot different than manga, than US comics going out of print. Because there's always a chance of these hardcover collections, omnibus editions, to come back into print. Unless they're limited edition, but when manga goes out of print, it's a gamble whether it will come back or not, depending on the rights. So as you can see, all the color pages are in here that were in the original book. All of this is done by Yoshikazu Yasuhiko. So all the artwork in here is provided by him, and of course, all the stories. And it's an adaptation of the original Gundam Origin series. So you also have the work in here of Hajime Yatate. But let's look at another volume really quick. Volume 10 with a different bind for some reason. So it's nice to finally finish this out. Now I just need to find the time to finish reading. I think I stopped with Volume 5. Because I'm a fan of the original Gundam series, so I had to have these in my collection. Even though it's a retelling and an adaptation, it does expand some of the characters some, and then some of the scenarios from what I remember. That is definitely something I also miss besides playing video games with my friends, is the time that I had to watch series. I remember watching the original Gundam and just finishing it out in one day when it became available here in America. My friend had all the VHS, let me borrow them. Oh, he had the big limited edition clam boxes of the VHS, and he let me borrow them, and I finished them in one day. I called into work sick. I've only done that a couple of times with anime. Blue Gender, I think, was the other one. But I was just hooked. I wanted to see the entire series, so I took 2 days off of work to watch it all. Then it took me about a year or so to watch the movies. But anyway, this is Gundam, The Origin, Mobile Suit Gundam. And there's a total of 12 volumes. These are all still in print as of this video, when this video came out. So if you're wondering, and if you're wondering what the print is like, it is this glossy paper and glued binding, except for volume 10, which has sewn binding. Pretty interesting that they did that. Each one of these retails for $29.95. Next up, another upgrade, but I never did finish it in small tankobon, is Blame. This is the Master Edition. So let's actually look at volume 4 really quick. Each one of these are $34.95, and this is all, well, all the volumes I was missing. I had 1, 2, and 3, and here are 4, 5, and 6. I actually caught a sale, was it Target, that had let's look at volume 4. Buy 2, get 1 free. So the series is all written and drawn by Tsutomu Nihei. And all the original pages are intact the way it was originally printed. It's just in bigger size. The paper quality is this thick matte paper that they use. Now, cannot remember the name of the manga. Tokyo Pop originally printed this, and they had like a volume 0, and I can't remember what it was called. It was something with a B, but I'm surprised they didn't release a Blame 0 Master Edition here in America, because most of Nihei's work has been collected, including Snicked, the Wolverine story. It's been collected in trade paperback, and most of his stuff has been collected in America. It's just interesting that for some reason they didn't bring over Master Edition Volume 0. Okay, let's look at Volume 5 really quick. They are softcover editions, even though they're the Master Editions. And I believe these are 2-in-1. That's the way they came out in Japan. So this wraps up the series of Blame. It's got some kick-ass artwork in here. That's the main reason that I'm getting it. And of course, a lot of his stuff that I was saying has been translated over here to America, including his most recent series. I believe it's released by Kodansha, if I'm not mistaken, just like these were. And speaking of Master Editions, and speaking of Nihei, here are the Knights of Sidonia Volumes 4, 6, and 7. And I do have a correction. Blame was printed by Vertical Comics. So here's what the covers look like. Now this series has nothing to do with Blame. This is its own thing. And actually this has been made into an animated series. I think Netflix was distributing here in America. Let's look at volume 4. So you do have color pages. And the paper quality is this thick matte paper that they're using for it. Now, the artwork in here is a little bit different. So this is the latest thing that he was working on. The sound effects are translated within the panel. And as I mentioned, whenever the chapters start, if it had original color pages, or 3 tones or 4 tones, whatever they were using in Japan, it was brought over the exact same way here in America. Man, he still has some creepy imagery. I love this cover here of Volume 5. That's a beautiful piece of art. And these all retail for $34.99. And all of these, I think with the exception of maybe an early volume, Volume 1 or Volume 2, are still in print. But I think they are going to come back into print. Vertical wants to keep these in print. But here's what the artwork looks like. And I can't flip too much through here because I haven't finished reading it. Nor have I finished watching the animated series. And for my wife, the Astonishing Melanie, the 10-volume set of Sailor Moon. The Eternal Edition. Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon. So volume 5, volume 6. The volume numbers are up at the top right hand side, as well as on the spine. And this is what the backs of them look like. These retail, I think they're $24.99 and then $27.99. They are in softcover edition, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but they do have this awesome, I believe that's chromium finish to them. Sparklies is what we used to call it back in the 80s. We've seen them in trading cards. But these are the outer scouts right here, and this beautiful piece, and this right here. So all 10 volumes are available, with 2 volumes of Sailor V by Naoko Takeuchi. There's all the Sailor Scouts, of course, taking the front cover, and there's Sailor V with the second volume. As of this video, it hasn't come out yet. But yes, this is a treat yourself. My wife got a new job teaching middle school, so she's back in the public school systems, and oh my goodness, it's been stressful. So I decided to surprise her and get her all 10 volumes of these, and I've been working on this set for a while. She is a huge fan of Sailor Moon. She has the original tankobons, the Tokyo Pop ones, and then she upgraded to the Kodansha sets, and then she got the box sets, and now she's got this. She's got every version of Sailor Moon in DVD and Blu-ray, and I'm sure if this ever gets announced to be in hardcover format, she will get that too. It's her favorite hero, and she loves the story. She loves the artwork. And even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Sailor Moon, I think I was in high school when it was coming out, but it was one of the few anime that it was on. I mean, we're talking early 90s when it was coming out. Even the butchery, by a lot of people's standards, of the original season 1, you know, that was all we got. We had that. We sometimes got Ronin Warriors. That's long before the Saturday morning anime on the Sci-Fi Network. And then, of course, Cartoon Network. But we didn't have that much. But it was still fun to see anime on television. And, yeah, even the English dub was pretty good. At least to me. Let's look at future volumes. This one here with my favorite scout right there, Sailor Uranus. So, as I was saying, yes, there wasn't a lot of anime back then on American television. So it was nice to have something like this. And even though I was in high school, I was still drawn to the animation. And the stories were pretty basic Monster of the Week type of stories with love conquering everything. But hey, that's what a lot of people enjoy. So I'm not taking that away from anybody. It's beautiful editions. I've got the art book. Actually, before I met Melanie, I had the art book. So maybe in a way, I kind of did dig Sailor Moon more than I thought. But again, the color page is intact if they were originally printed that way in Japan. The quality of the books, let's look at the latest book, Sailor V, which is interesting because this was the prototype for Sailor Moon. So this is almost set in a different universe and then eventually became Sailor Venus, but you can read all about that for yourself. The quality of the books are printed in this glossy paper. They are oversized. And of course they have glued binding. They have these flaps on the inside of the books right here. No bookmark or anything, but that's to be expected. And I mentioned that there would be a volume 2 of this coming out later. I think it was postponed until November, but that is all of Sailor Moon so far. You get an upgrade, you get an upgrade, and you get an upgrade. Big shout out to Fariha. Thank you so much for making me a deal on these. So she had read them and then decided that she didn't want to reread them, and this is one of my favorite manga, 20th Century Boys. Of course, I have to go with Pluto as my favorite Urasawa manga, but this is all of 20th Century Boys, including 21st Century Boys. Originally published in 22 volumes, and then volumes 23 and 24 were 21st Century Boys, volumes 1 and 2. But these are the perfect editions. Again, they are softcover format, retailing for $19.99. Now, Viz said that they are reprinting them, so I know some of them are out of print right now, so if you're a little bit patient, you can wait it out, unless you don't want to, and you got the money, hey, more power to you. These were all the covers look like, but let's look at Volume 1. I love the mystery in this manga. I love the villain in this manga, and this is printed with the original colored pages. So it's about a bunch of friends that used to play games together, and now they're adults. So they keep going back and forth between flashbacks and present day. And the game these friends used to play together is coming true in real life. And that's all I will say about it. It's world domination. There's a bunch of twists and turns. And the villain is one of the creepiest villains in any comic book I've ever read. So if you've not read this, you need to try out Volume 1. There's a deep mystery. It's a huge psychological look at what a villain is and what they're willing to do for their dreams. Oh my gosh. Yes, and the follow-up is really good too, 21st Century Boy. Now, when I've done an overview of Viz Comics, I've covered some of these, but now I've got them all, and originally released in smaller tonka. Actually, no, the Signature series was as big as these. And I think a lot of people kept those because those also had the color pages. And please, if I'm wrong, correct me. Let me know in the comments down below. But I'm pretty sure the Signature series has those color pages. This just has everything in one uniform look with the flaps right there. I think somebody told me those are French flaps. Each one retailing for $19.99. Maybe I'll do an overview of this later on this year. I love this manga. It's one of my favorites. And I wanted to sneak something in here. What's in the bubble wrap? This is a big shout out to my buddy Chris Walker for sending me these books. It's a big surprise. So let's get the bubble wrap open and talk about what he sent. It's the Buddha hardcover set by Osamu Tezuka. Oh my gosh, this was such a nice surprise. He saw my video tour of my manga, which I'll be doing another one in December, and he noticed that I had the soft covers of this series. And he was like, okay, I'm going to get you the hardcovers. And I was like, no, please don't. And he insisted. And man, this was so kind. And he even felt so bad that Volume 5 didn't have this little, I can't remember, mini dust jacket. I'm not sure what they're called. I was like, no, don't worry about it. This was so kind. I was not expecting him to send it. And sure enough, he did. Osamu Tezuka being one of my favorite mangaka of all time. And this being one of my favorite works that he did. To take the story of Buddha and making it into a funny, whimsical in ways type of manga. It's beautiful, but while keeping the true aspect of what Buddha and the lifestyle is. Oh, it is so good. It would be like taking the story of Jesus and giving him comical little animals that talk and things like that, which has been done, honestly, but I don't know. This one really stuck with me. I remember reading it when Vertical was originally publishing it. These were published in softcover format, which is the way that I own them, but these are beautiful hardcover editions. And the design of each one of these is done by Chip Kidd, who did design work for Marvel, for DC. I'm a big fan of what he did with the Daredevil Omnibus, but he's the one that did the design on these. And to kind of give you an idea of the artwork found in here, and of course the build of these. And these do read from left to right. It starts off at the beginning, and it is the story of the man that will become Buddha. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful story, especially if you don't know anything about it going in. Just the suffering that he went through and just the different points in his life. All the way until the ending, and of course, how he changed humanity. So that's what this story is about. Again, done by the greatest mangaka, the god of manga himself, Osamu Tezuka. This is the same creator that did Astro Boy, Kimba the White Lion, Three Wonders, just to name a few of his creations, and of course Blackjack. But this is a wonderful series, all 8 volumes. Thank you so much, Chris. This was too kind. And to wrap up my manga haul for this month, all 18 volumes of the Viz Big Inuyasha Collection. So let's take a look at what the art looks like. Did I own all 55 volumes of this collection already? Of course I did, in the small tankobon size. But I wanted them in big format, and I didn't see a box set coming. I didn't see a deluxe hardcover edition. Maybe years later, and will I upgrade? Probably, because I'm an idiot like that. But I just wanted to own this. Rumiko Takahashi is one of my favorite mangaka, and I wanted to have all her series in bigger format like this. Now, one thing I did notice is that none of these volumes have a color collection. Like, they're all in black and white. Now, I wonder if that's the way it was originally printed in Japan. They just have those wash finishes to them. Or was it ever in color? So if you have the original ones like these right here, pages that look like they should be in color, let me know in the comments down below. Because, oh my god, if they reprint this in hardcover collection with the original colors, I'm an idiot and I will buy it again. Not that even Inuyasha is my favorite thing that she did, but I just love her simplistic, classic look to her art. And she just works from morning till night. Like, she doesn't get enough sleep. Saw a schedule of her day, and it's insane. So, okay, so this is where they keep some of the color pages right here. The art gallery. Oh, okay, and then this is where they keep the cover art for the volume. So this is the original volume 1, volume 2 and 3, and then bonus art gallery. Nice. Let's look at another volume. Printed in the traditional right to left format. So volume 31, 32, and 33 are collected in this. So they're this big, they're bigger, taller, and also 3-in-1s. Here's your cast of characters: Kagome, Inuyasha. I was always a fan of Kikyo, and Sango. Yes, Sango was my girl. But this, was an animated series. It was developed into an animated series. It ran for a long time in Japan. And all 18 volumes, some are in and out of print. It just took me a few months waiting for the ones to come back into print. My order finally came through. And like I said, I wanted to upgrade my original tankobons because one of my favorite creators deserves to have the nicest collection possible of her work displayed in my library. So that's why I decided to upgrade. That's my justification, sure. But all 18 volumes, each one has a new cover to it. And I love that they keep the covers in the back in color. I'm glad they did that because I was worried, like Blade the Immortal, that they wouldn't do that. But that is my haul, my manga haul. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing any of these books, check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely in an excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for you minties. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was my latest manga haul. Let me know in the comments down below what you've been picking up, what series you recommend. I love reading manga in between all these big Silver Age books, or sometimes even in between some of these modern heavy reads. So by all means, please let me know what series you've been enjoying lately. And keep an eye out on the channel for our manga uploads, such as overviews from Viz and Yen Press. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. We are on Spreadshop and Patreon, amazing ways to support the channel. And more importantly, everyone, stay healthy, stay safe out there. Much love.